What I'm going to do is make a few comments on the work that I've set for Thursday and Friday of this week. Before I do so, this is a reminder, please submit the group podcasts of the chapter for your piece of historical fiction by the end of the week. This work is quite overdue. Everybody in the group has a responsibility to make sure that those podcasts are in. So I want the transcript as well as the recording of the transcript. And as I said, it'll be an enjoyable start to at the beginning of many lessons when we have the delight of listening to your story. Here I've got the class feedback on the practice essay that you did for assessment task 1. You've received extensive individual feedback, but here are some general comments that apply to the class as a whole, or various categories of work in the class that were handed in. Okay, so Thursday you'll be doing the activity titled Source Work, The Goddess in the Temple. I will be opening sometime after the class, perhaps right at the end of the class or a little time later, 20 minutes later, the suggested answers to the source work, The Goddess in the Temple. So that model answer will help you evaluate the work that you have done. I'll just click onto it briefly. It's just taking a little time to load. Okay, with any source work, we go to the question first. So we've got source A and source B. But let's have a look at the question. Source A provides one explanation as to why Cleopatra's gold statue was put in the temple of Venus Genetrix in the Forum of Caesar, which was built on the edge of the Roman Forum. Now, the Roman Forum, girls, was built right in the centre of Rome. It was an important social and political centre, which included markets where goods were bought and sold, political gatherings, and religious activities took place in temples. There were also law courts. So we get one theory in source A as to when and why the statue of Cleopatra was placed in this particular temple. In source B, we get a different explanation as to why and when the statue was found or was placed in the temple of Venus Genetrix. We also get conflicting theories as to who placed the statue in the temple. It's very interesting to look at the different interpretations. We've talked about contestability. Contestability refers to the idea that history is not just a clear-cut series of facts. So we can look at evidence and come up with different interpretations. And here you're being invited to think about which theory you think is the strongest in terms of explaining why the statue was placed in the temple. Which theory is most convincing? Now, when you're answering this, you can consider what you already know about Rome. So background knowledge will be helpful, but there are also plenty of hints within the sources themselves. So give a reason for your answer. Try hard to do that. Read both sources carefully, and you have that model answer as a guide for self-evaluation when you've finished that activity. As I said, you'll find it shortly after class. Okay, Friday. So you're going to be starting, if you haven't already, the source work, Cleopatra's engagement with Egyptian religious practices, focusing on the question for source A. So you don't have to do the question for source B, although I would read through source B because potentially it's useful for your essay, as is this source, as is all of the work that we are doing. It's helping to broaden your understanding of the political practices of Cleopatra and also Julius Caesar and other identities. Okay, now this activity must be completed and submitted by April 1 in this assignment box. So for your convenience, I've just got a little link to the assignment on this page. If we click onto this particular document for Friday, okay, I've got the reference set out correctly at the top of the page. This is your task. What insights does this source provide into the reasons for Cleopatra's engagement with Egyptian religious practices? This is relevant to your assessment task. Let's keep in mind the fact that religion was of central importance to the culture of ancient Egypt. If you think about those Egyptian pyramids, they absolutely dominate the landscape. They are huge tombs. The Egyptians enjoyed life, but they were also very mindful of the life beyond, and so much effort was put into preparing for the life beyond. And the ruling class that had the resources to build these huge tombs give us great insights into the Egyptian religion as a whole. Okay, so Cleopatra, a politically skilled woman. So why is a politically skilled woman engaging with the Egyptian religion and its priests in the way that Cleopatra does? So I invite you to read source A through a political lens. Think to yourself, how is Cleopatra's engagement with religion adding to her ability to gain and maintain power? Think about the whole concept of the alliance, and remember that an alliance is something that you enter into because you want something, and in an alliance you give in order to get. So it's a two-way relationship. Okay, I'm not going to say anything more about the task than that. You've got the source there, so you are free to use advanced Google searches to investigate particular terms. You can use online dictionaries to look up words that are unfamiliar, so you can really investigate that given source very thoroughly. Like I said, you'll be focusing on source A for the hand-in, not source B. What will I be looking for? I'll be looking for a fully developed paragraph with a purposeful topic sentence. Be mindful that this task is relevant to the idea of Cleopatra's political skills, hence it is relevant to your assessment task. I'll give you feedback on this work, obviously, girls, and yes, you can include it in your hand-in essay, but I need to tell you that when I'm marking the essay, I will be focusing very carefully on paragraphs that you construct independently, because I would have already given you feedback on this paragraph that you'll probably include in your essay, or not. There is no obligation to include it. But I do advise you girls to think about Cleopatra's engagement with Egyptian religion. It was very important in terms of her creation of an image that was acceptable and appealing to the Egyptian people. So, and down here, I've got some tips for assessment task 1. I've called it a bonus resource. Okay, girls, have a really good end of the week. Bye for now.